What is hard light photography and how does this help your photos look more magazine worthy? I'm gonna share my opinions on how I think this helps and how you can take your own pictures that are also hard light photography. Before I jump into that, be sure you go ahead and subscribe and like this video. I really appreciate it. That helps me know what kind of content you guys are liking and what kind of content you guys are not that interested in. I don't want to say hate because I want to think y'all hate it. Per masterclass.com, it is a hard light that is focused, often a bright light that creates a shadow and draws attention to a specific part of the photo. Sometimes this is called harsh light photography, but for the sake of today, we're gonna call it hard light. Being a professional or someone who's interested in photography and possibly becoming a photographer, hard light photography is one of those techniques that you should be aware of. Even if you don't use it, you should be aware of what this style of photography is. So the focus of today will be hard light studio photography. We're gonna take these portraits indoors and we're going to use a Godox light, which is basically, which is a strobe light. And a strobe light is basically a flash and gives out a very bright burst of light. I mean, it literally sounds like, yeah, that's what it sounds like. So why should you use hard light? Given I just gave you the example, hard light photography gives that raw and that more dramatic, serious look, which is what editorial magazines often go for to provoke emotion or some sense of empathy or sympathy. You know, anything that can pull emotion, and especially that rawness of it that makes you feel like you're almost there, nothing's being added on or faked or, you know, things like that. This helps bring that style to the viewer. It also gives the skin a little bit of a glow or shine that you can't really get with a soft light style photography. I mean, you can, but the hard light makes it hit different. Like, it just hits completely different than soft light. Granted, one is hard, one's soft, so therefore they're gonna be two completely different things. Examples of magazines that use this kind of photography in their publications would be Vanity Fair, would be the New York Times Magazine, and also Times Magazine. So now we're gonna talk about how to take your own hard light photos. It's not anything complicated by any means, but for starters, you're gonna need a bright light source that can be the sun, although if you're in the studio, we are aware that that sun is going to move and shift. If it's a cloudy day, it's going to get covered, which means that it's going to get diffused. So I would not recommend using the sun, or the sun, there's only one sun. I would not recommend using the sun. I would recommend using a strobe light, or at bare minimum, a continuous light. They'll both do the same thing, but you want to take your diffuser off of them if you have it. A diffuser is basically a white piece of material that softens the light. You're also gonna want a background that is solid, and you're gonna want your subject not too far away from it, because you wanna be able to see those shadows on that background. So for this set of pictures, I used the 85mm equivalent, the 56mm Fujifilm 1.2. I use that lens because it's an 85mm equivalent. Now, I would recommend for portraits shooting anything from a 35 to an 85mm lens. The higher the focal length, the better in my opinion, which is why I'm using an 85. And I love the way that lens looks. So I started with a bunch of different techniques to kind of figure this out. I wasn't really sure how I wanted these pictures to come out. Like, I saw it in my head, but it was kind of hard for me to put it into the world and get it out there. But trial and error, I finally got there. I started out with the fresnel mount, which basically what that does is it takes the light and either it can go at a ray like that, or it can get more of a angle. So that basically all it is, it controls the angle of the light. Started out with this and it was pointed directly at her. In order to get a shadow, you're gonna have to have that light at an angle. So if you shoot it straight forward, you're not gonna get much of a shadow. You're gonna get everything washed out right there. But to create a shadow, you wanna kind of keep it at an angle. So like if we shoot here, that shadow is gonna be here. It's basically just gonna follow just like a normal shadow. So if you shoot from this angle, a shadow's gonna be here, which is what I did with her. So I kept this light to the right of her, which looking at the picture, it'll be to the left. But I kept this to the right of her, above her. So therefore the light was shining down and casting the shadow right here. So I wasn't satisfied with the immediate results of shooting at this curtain. I wasn't satisfied with the results from this Fresnel mount. and I ended up swapping it for the Light Mini Dome 2, and I used that instead. And once I switched to that, I started to get better results. I also took the diffuser off of the Light Mini Dome 2 and ended up keeping the grid on there so I could have the light shooting in a specific direction. I didn't want it to flare out, I wanted it to be directly at her. So when you're shooting these hard light photos, you can nail the settings right there where they should be, or you can shoot a little bit overexposed. Me personally, I kind of shot these a little overexposed to let more light shine on my subject, and it helped me bring out the highlights. I also in post ended up doing a little bit of raising the highlights and the exposure because I wanted it to look a lot brighter than more darker than what it was. Now, if you shoot it at the right settings, you can always go in post and then boost it up again. But again, it's personal preference, however you want to do it, whatever you see fit. Not only did I raise up the highlights and the exposure, I ended up adding a little bit of softness, so I took down some clarity by like -10 because I don't want it to be as sharp. I don't like the very, very sharp look of pictures. That's just me personally. I tried to make them look natural, and yeah, I just ain't feeling the sharp look, but yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the actual video of me shooting. We're gonna jump into that right now.
That just coincidental that they want me now that I'm up. Tell them guys that they ain't welcome cause they can't see past girl and drugs. Chains at G, I'm blowing up. Same old team, that's how I does. They've got peace but I got sense blood and they can't see why I get love. Ain't that just coincidental that they want me now that I'm up. Tell them guys that they ain't welcome cause they can't see past girl and drugs. Chains at G, I'm blowing up. Same old team, that's how I does. They've got peace but I got sense blood and they can't see why I get love. Let me show them why. Take charge, let me hit the soulful vibe. Spit bars sicker when it's so good live. Slip dark nigga with the open mind. Been that brother from the way back when. Been that nigga from about 09. Over the head, skin tone separate alone from the rest. Now I'm in zone, spitting every bar with my chest. I'm a different type. USB 4-core in a 4-port on my door as I live those rhymes. 2 or 3 more and I'm sure they be onto your boy like a bitch online.
Oh my god!
You can read all about it. Don't watch me, the whole team's about it. Flows worth P, the whole beat's about it. If we're not G's, I'm not G's, we're just man, it's a lot. Please don't ask me to just jam in the hot seat. They know we could just bang, so they want me cause I can.
Alright, so these photos came out great in my own personal opinion. I love the way they look. My favorite one would have to be this one. It's the stare that she does along with the rule of thirds that I have going on here. It looks as almost she's focused on something, and I like that considering we shot this in the studio and there's literally nothing for her to look at. But yeah, it came out perfect to me. Even if this style of shooting isn't necessarily your cup of tea, I still recommend trying it because as a photographer, you have to try new things and things that you aren't necessarily comfortable with. I personally wasn't necessarily comfortable with doing this, but I had to build myself up because when you're working for magazines, they're gonna ask you to do something different. You know, you can't keep giving them the same thing. You're gonna have to switch it up. You're gonna have to be creative, reinventing the wheel, and just be artistically creative. So you're gonna have to step outside the box, and that's what I did with these pictures. I've always wanted to try the hard light photos, and I was never really satisfied, but now for the first time I am satisfied with the way these came out. So give it a try. Don't just knock it off. Give it a try and see if you like it. It's gonna be trial and error. I caught hell taking these pictures. It took me forever to get these the way I wanted them to look, but just don't give up, keep trying. Now, out of these pictures that I took, which one is your favorite? Tell me below in the description which one is your favorite. All in all, this style of photography is perfect for their raw, serious, dramatic look in their photos that's mainly used in editorial magazines or editorial photography, period. These hard light portraits are something that I really love to see in magazines. That's just me, because it makes me feel like, I don't know, it just looks more intimate to me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I really hope you guys learned something from this, and I will see you guys next time. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we are out of here.